Hey, what's up, guys? So, I lost the last round, and let's see. It's crazy what it's saying here, but it put me at 255. I don't know why I say my rank is 249, but I'm at 255. Looks like Doolin is right here next to me. So, we'll see if I can get the win today. Here's the ranking. And so, all the guys that went 1-1, and I'm on the lower end, not clearing a room, and so is ctaylor. So, ctaylor is over 125 mil, 4.4 mil STP. So he's a strong guy. And here are my stats. So this is when I'm running on defense. I decided to put in Spider-Gwen, and I think it's P2 on her, because I am going to take her into DD8, and because I had such a hard time against, my last opponent. And he had Spider-Gwen in there, and he had her built up. So I said, well, Noir is not getting built up any more than where he is. And so let me go with the bigger team. And so all the other rooms are the same for the most part, except I decided to pull out Nova, which I may be able to use Nova. And I decided to put Noir in over here. Maybe Noir can stir some things up, just to make this room consistent with what I think it needs to be to pull, like an Apoc or a Cabal or something like that. So we'll see how that works out. And so this is what my opponents run on defense. And you can see his teams are really strong. They're built up. This is probably the biggest spider-sided Mephisto I've seen. I don't know that I've even seen one over 4 mil, close to 4 mil, but this guy's over 4 mil, well over. And all of his rooms are pretty tough looking. So, off the top of my head, I'm thinking I got to do Superior 6 on 1. I would like to do Superior 6 on 2 with Apoc, but I don't think my Masters of Evil can take this. I just don't think they're strong enough. I'll take a look at them. If they're close, maybe I'll try it. But this looks pretty fierce here. So I'm thinking Superior 6. And then after my double sack, I would have to try the Secret Defenders with Apoc. And I don't even know if they can do it, because this team is so big, but that's what I'd have to be looking at. So we'll see. Like I said, I'd rather do Superior 6, Apoc on 2. That may be the better call, because this team is just so big, and I may have to try the Masters of Evil here. If that's the case, because I was going to do Warriors 3, if that's the case, then I could do Secret Defenders here on 3, and probably use Nova. Definitely going to use Illuminati on 4. I'll probably do my Tangle Web. No, I'll probably do the Eternals, Nick, and the Pegasus 2 on this 5. That should be fine there. And Cabal. And I would like to do Cabal, Kang, and Titania, looking at the size of this team. So it really just comes down to, can Secret Defenders even stand a chance against this room 2, even with Apoc? And that's questionable, but that may be the route I have to go. So my go-to when I see an extreme of any version, especially with Nightcrawler, is to go in with the Superior 6. And I like the Vulture version best. But in some cases, depending on the room they're in, I think Masters of Evil can still work. It's just that they've been having problems in room 5, and I think sometimes even room 1. So I've been going more with the Spirit 6 Vulture, just to be sure I get the win. So I'd had such a problem beating these stronger versions of the Superior 6 when they have a Mephisto after the double sack. And I think the last time New Warriors just didn't pull it off. I decided to go in with the Apoc version into the final attack with Secret Defenders. And I don't know that that's the best move either, because it looks like we're going to have Apoc if we want to see any type of Annihilators in Room 6. And I don't think that Apoc was actually even needed here. So I think going forward, I got to look at either using full Secret Defenders, depending on the match, Lizard, and one of my opponents used Doom, so those may be some options. So I had more fuel to the fire with the bad planning. I went in with Cabal here. And you just need, it appears you're going to need some type of APOC team without Cabal because of the vulnerables. And I do like what my opponent used. And so we'll take a look at that later on, but that could be an option, or just our regular going in with the Red Hulk and the Weaver and a Cable, just to at least try to kill Skrull, because it might take a double tap. And it could be something that you can beat, because I have beaten it with the one shot. I do think the teams were much smaller then, and these teams getting bigger, it may not be possible, but we'll see. So the key thing Sham pointed out to me here is when you use your Illuminati against any type of Black Knight version with Old Man Logan, you just got to make sure you go in and you strip those charges. And that's basically just leading in with the special for a couple turns onto the Black Knight. And then when you're able to do that and you see that the charges are gone, he's not retaliating, then you have a good chance of just beating out the team. But I think because they had a second tank, I think it's okay, because this team is so strong, just to go in and focus in on the Black Knight and the Panda Pool and make sure you get them out the way so that you can go in on Old Man Logan and not have any problems after that. So New Warriors is not the ideal counter here because of the Daken, and you can see he's got a G19 Morgan in Daken, so that makes it harder in the sense that I have not put G19 on any of my New Warriors, which at some point maybe Gwenpool and Firestar have to go to G19 just to keep them relevant and make battles like this more consistent. But as you can see, it's not really so much the Daken that's the problem, it's just that you have such a strong Morgan. She turns out to be more of a problem than anything else. At any rate, the team is still a decent team in certain situations, New Warriors that is, and this Daken Quicksilver Darkhold is really a very good team to have on defense, in my opinion, as opposed to just throwing in some of the other fillers like the Infinity Watch. So Pegasus is pretty tanky at this point for most of us. And Kessel's going to stop any summons. So it's just really about weathering the storm. And what I had in mind was just to save the rescue ult if anybody got killed to bring them back. And once that initial barrage was going, it was like, okay, it's safe to either use the ult or the special. But the main thing is just make sure the entire team survives so that I can go forward. And when it's my turn to start getting attacks in, make sure I can get that done. So the plan here was to hopefully get the Ares down a little bit more and maybe get a double tap. But even Ares at this low level is just too tanky or just has too much health to even have that happen. And so it just kind of lets you know that these type teams, maybe you can go in with a sack on them and achieve your goal as far as getting Skrull's ult out of the way. Or it just kind of seems they don't have much use aside from a sack. Or if you just have one or two characters left, maybe as a last desperate hope, they can get it done. So here's the final score, guys. And as you can see, I did a poor job planning. I should have gone in with some type of Apoc counter on room 6. And I was just coming home from work. And my golden rule to myself is just don't do attacks right away. Give yourself time to unwind and get your mind together, get your thoughts together. And I went in with Cabal, just seeing Skrull, and just forgot all about Annihilators, just beat up on Cabal. So that was another lesson learned, as well as going into the room 2, where I probably do not need Apoc. So it's just poor planning overall. I can probably go into room 2 with either what my opponent did today or my opponent did yesterday with Secret Defenders, and it will work pretty well. So it's more about just taking what I've learned from this and then going forward. And I've already made some adjustments to my defense where I think it'll be a pretty strong defense. I don't think I'll make many more changes going into these last 2 weeks, and just being very mindful of my attacks so that I can try to get at least 2-2-1 wins in these last 2 weeks. So just as I was going to record these attacks, the game said restart and it didn't allow me to do it. So I guess they're going away from showing the defense, which is fine. It's whatever. And so I'm glad I recorded my attacks as I was doing them, because then at least you guys can see that. But once again, I still like the results for room 1, and room 2 was not bad. So my room 2 did better overall, with a much stronger version of the 5th being Spider-Gwen over Noir, because they're both G19, but Spider-Gwen is 3 diamonds opposed to Noir being 2, and I did take her to P2. So she's a stronger, so it does tap into the efficiency a bit, and that's what it's going to come down to. If we're both double sacking 2, it's all about efficiency still. And so 3, this version of the Skrull team is still just getting very high scores. So I don't know that I can try to play the efficiency game running this defense, even though I know it's going to pull Cabal. And then here, I think that this was a good run for me, and that is Illuminati did not do well. And so I've had some mixed feelings on what to do with this team, but the way the combination of my defense is at the moment, I'm not sure that keeping this team together allows me to do something different with room 3, and then still be able to have a strong defense throughout my 6 rooms. And you see here, my opponent went in with the Mysterio version. He's got a 3 diamond Mysterio at G19 and just wrecked my X-Men team with Quicksilver. So it's not that I think there's a bad choice here. It's just that obviously if I'm going to try to make the level of top 250, this is not going to be consistent enough when you have a room 3 and a room 5 and guys are getting scores this high, and sometimes maybe they don't. So I've done some thinking on how to restructure this room as well. And so here, even though this is a slightly above average score, it comes down to this Apoc counter. And once again, I think Apoc, now what he did is he used big time in Underworld, which I think is fine because I didn't have a Skrull in here, but I think guys probably will be moving forward with a Skrull comp more than not. And so you may be able to use Underworld. I kind of don't think you will. And that leans back to the Apoc Red Hulk Weaver combo. I'm most likely going to use Emma and Cabal. So you want to reserve those for offense to take care of your room 6 options. Because if nothing else, you have a good chance of going to kill Skrull. Because you can get the taunt off of the Gladiator, and then you can one punch the Skrull. And if you can't beat him, at least you can clear the room if you can't one shot. So as a result of looking at how my defense did this week and being in that top 250 at the start of this week, with the competition mostly probably all right around or in the top 250, it appears that there's certain rooms that I have that will do well in certain teams, and it's like just try to make a combination of all of that, and hopefully this can make a run for the last 2 weeks. But consistently, the out of time dorm has been doing well in 1, And Spider Society with Gwen, because I guess she's getting the pings in as opposed to Noir with that early attack, can do well. So it appears that there can still be an efficiency sync with her in there. And making her and taking her to P2 Raider is probably going to be the difference, as she's a 3-diamond, Noir is a 2-diamond. And then I've had success with the Daken Quicksilver Darkhold. And so my thought is, I was able to get a diamond on Daken, and I think just his presence makes guys aware of how they have to go about the attack. But as time goes on, either Quicksilver or Morgan, in this scenario here, I think would do better at G19. I don't know that this team, we're going to use it that much next season. I have a feeling that we will. And so one of those two will be my project to take to G19. And most likely Quicksilver, just because he can be used other ways. But I would like to have Morgan at G19, so we'll see if that can be worked out. I think Hive Mind is a really good team for offense or defense. It's just that guys have done so well with countering any version that we put of them with Skrull. And so Pat brought up running them in room 4. And originally he was talking about running them with Gore, and I thought about that. And I'd actually earlier that day put them on defense, the Hive Mind with Gore, that is, and War. And it did take, it was a punch up. It wasn't a big punch up in consideration of how the Old Man Logan and his merch team do in War. But that is what was used on them. And so it got me to thinking about how I can use Hive Mind. And later on that evening, Zero commented on how just a full Hive Mind would probably still do well. And all these concepts are Hive Mind in 4. And so as I got to thinking, I said, well, originally I was going to run Black Knight with this team in 5, and maybe I was going to have them in 4. And I thought about how Black Knight's retaliations could actually get a tune into red, which would ignite Carnage and just make this team extremely fast. So it's something I want to try out, and we'll see how this fares going for the rest of the season. The goal with this season is just to get my Black Knight to a 2-diamond, and whatever concepts I come up with after that, he'd be as strong as I could probably make him. I don't know if I can take him to 3-diamond. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this works, as this could be something for next season as well. And then Old Man Logan with Rogue Extreme, I think that's pretty solid in 5. And so I thought, instead of trying to break up this Annihilators team, just run the full team. The idea is to have Ultimates in the middle, because hopefully he can give some regens to the Surfer and Gore. And I think that with that in mind, Surfer is tanky enough to be next to Gore. Because if Surfer gets his ult off, that's great. If he doesn't, that's kind of fine too. The main thing is you really want Ultimates to get his turns in. Any or all of his turns can be beneficial, especially even his basic, as it's got a mind control in there, and that can be really damaging. And so as time goes on, I think we're going to all get this team stronger. I did go in and buy Gore, and I didn't invest as much into Gladiator. And obviously, if you guys have gone against some 6 and 7 red Gladiators, that's a huge deal. So hopefully I can get another red on Gladiator in the near future. But if not, next season I'm sure I'll have that, and we can see how this, probably the same team, will do in a different room. But at the moment, my first thought is it's going to take some type of Apoc team, and the goal might be, as these teams are getting so big and strong, just to take out the Skrull. Or you got to sack it and let Skrull ult, and then go in and see who you can kill with the Apoc team, and you might still not clean up. So it could take 2 or 3 attempts as this team gets stronger, and will most likely be able to be used next season in just about any room that they come up with. So the matchmaking is in, and let's take a look at who I'm matched up against this week. So these are the guys, and this is our positioning in the matchmaking. Let's start with their stats. So there are a lot of annihilators in this matchmaking, along with Mephisto. So this will be a tough week and probably a tough last 2 weeks, as many of these guys will probably get the Thanos in game, and so I'll probably have to get them too, just to kind of keep pace. But you can see I'm still, even though I'm out of the top 250, I'm still kind of hanging around a lot of the guys I've been matched against before. You see Dark Helmet, you see Genesis, Agent Everett. I've seen Achilles' name before, and as we go up, we can see who else. I've seen Coulson, Jesse, Ace Hunter, Mr. Grimm, and these are names that I've just seen. Sham Donato, he's in range, so maybe if I get a couple wins, we might get matched up next week. And just looking to see if there's any names I recognize. Uptown Monk, he's in my arena, and as we go down, we'll see if we see anybody else. Going against Wheat Pizza a couple times. For the most part, I'm sure I'll start getting more familiar with the names here, as it looks like we'll probably all be around each other or in the vicinity of each other for the most part to the end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what the new rules will be like next season and how that will go for us. But that's it for this one, guys. I just wanted to add in the matchmaking to this last trial so you guys can get a look at what's going to be going on next week. Okay, guys. Chat later.